Hello there. It's been an exciting day, and I want to share that excitement with you as I welcome you to Cross Cultural Experience. My name is Uche Onyebadi. As you know, this program is where I invite people or somebody who has traveled out of his or her own cultural environment, gone somewhere else, experienced something, and then wants to share with the rest of us. But if you also recall at the beginning of this year, 2026, I said that we are going to be introducing, nuggets of excitement, on this forum. And I think the very first one we used was Bernard Otieno from Kenya, who told us how his Luo people, how they give names to kids. So that was the first one. So I'm going to follow up trying to tell you how the Igbos in Nigeria, how they also give names. Now, this is a very big tribe. So there are differences here and there, but I'm just going to provide you with, some kind of way that cuts across everybody. But before I start doing that, let me tell you that if you want to be part of this program, all you need to do is to send me an email, cross-cultural experiences at gmail.com. Don't forget the S, cross-cultural experiences at gmail.com. All right, let's go to the Igbos, one of the big tribes, big three tribes in Nigeria. You'll find them in the southeastern part, of the country. One thing about, the way they give names is that almost everybody in the same, not almost, everybody in the same family has the same last name, but you're giving your own name, to distinguish you from the rest of the family. So if you go to a village, or you see some people who have the same last name, chances are that they come at least from the same village or from the same family. Most of the time, these names are given by grandparents on the 8th day of birth. So there's an occasion, people come around and then they suggest names, and then that becomes your name. At times you get more than one name, the child, because each of the grandparents will be competing, to leave their legacy in terms of names. But there is something unique, about the names the Igbos give to their kids. Most of the time, they have something to do with God. So it's either we're talking about your personal God, which is your Chi, or the big God, which is Chukwu, the big, God. So if you're a Christian, you might want to say that the big God is like God the Father, but everybody has his or her own Chi that guides you. But everything goes, those names go towards Chi this, Chukwu that, whatever. It's so prevalent, it's so common, among the Igbos. So let me give you a few of them, and I wrote them down because there are too many. But I know some of us know Chinua Achebe, the great writer from Nigeria who was of Igbo origin. I think he died in 2013, and everybody knows him or knew him as Chinua Achebe. But the full thing is Chinuolomogu. Chinuolomogu Achebe. So that means my God, my personal God, will fight for me. Chinuolomogu. It doesn't mean that your gods will start punching people, but it's just paving the way, make things smooth for you. You will always protect you as you go along. There is also Chiamaka, God is good, or Chidimma, God is good. There's also Chinyelu, which means God's gift to the family. Chinenye also means God will provide. There is Chinedum, God will guide me. You can see Chi all over the place. That's your personal name. Then your last name is totally different. Everybody in the family has the same last name, as I said. Now, there are also references to that big God I talked about, the Chi-Uku, which is the big God, so to say, if you allow me to translate it that way. So there is Ogechukwu, God's time, meaning God's time is the best. There is also Onyinye Chukwu, you, the child, you are the gift from God to your family. There is also Yadili Chukwu, let it be in God's hands. Well, whatever happens, it's always in God's hands. There is also Ngozi Chukwu, blessing from God. There is also Echefuna Chukwu, do not forget your God. So you can see, Chi and Chukwu coming in almost all the time. So most of those names have something to do with God. Now, why am I talking about this? I'm not just saying that they are very, very godly, more than the rest of the people in Nigeria. That's just how they give names. Some of us know, if you go back to history, you will know that when the colonial masters came to Nigeria as well as other places, but most of them were, I think the missionaries came first, paved the way, and then the colonialists came along. So those missionaries did not understand the culture of the people. And so to them, they have come to convert people who did not believe in God, not knowing, not realizing that even how they give names has something to do with God. So they were not worshiping the devil as some of those early missionaries, tried to paint things. No. In other words, it was not very easy in those days for your child to be baptized with your Igbo name. So your name can be Chinenye, God's gift. Chinenye, God will provide. They didn't see it as having anything to do with God. They thought it was heathen. It has nothing. It wasn't until people like Cardinal Arinze, who is still alive and in Rome, they started writing because they became priests and they were indigenous to that area. So they started writing and convincing their fellow, missionaries from outside of Nigeria. No. These names are very, very important. They have meaning. So they now started allowing some of these names to be used for baptism. Otherwise, for you to be baptized in those days, you had to be some, Gabriel, you have to be Habakkuk in the Bible, you have to be somewhere Joshua, you have to be Moses, because those ones are the ones they recognize. And in a way, you wouldn't blame them because they didn't know. The only point is that they did not bother to know until their colleagues who are indigenous to the area started telling them that, look, these guys are godly, if not, okay, let me not go there, but just take it that they are also very, very godly, as reflected in the names they give their kids. All right. Now, it's not all about Chi, this, Chidema, Chukwu, Onyenye Chukwu, and all that. No. The Igbos also, just like the Luos in Kenya, they also give names, that will reflect something about that culture outside the god I mentioned. So the Igbos have traditionally, they have 4 market days, Oye are for Nkwo and Eke. So their traditional week composed of 4 days. So somebody who is born on a traditional market day can be given the name. So you hear that somebody is Okafor. He was born on an Afo day. Or Okonkwo, as we saw in Things Fall Apart. Those people who have read the book by Chinua Achebe. Yeah, Okonkwo, the man was born on an Nkwo day. I nearly bit my tongue there. All right. You can also hear somebody being called Mbafo, this time a lady, that she was born on an Afo day. So they also name according to the market days. But there are also names that tell stories because they represent an event or even milestone, in the annals of the history of that family. For instance, you can it's here that an Igbo man is called Mr., Mrs., or Doctor, or whatever, Onwubiko. Now, what it symbolizes is that possibly people, in fact, I'm very, very sure about this. So people have been dying, kids have been born and they are dying in that family. So when this one is born, they say Onwubiko, meaning death. please don't take this one. So that tells you that something has been happening in that family. And this time they said, do not take this one. Oh, please, like they're begging death. It can also mean they can also call a lady Obianuju. Obianuju means probably the family, has been experiencing hard times, and then things changed, and then resources are there, and then a child is born. The child can be called Obianuju, the child that, especially a lady, the child that came when things were okay. Resources are there to take care of you. It can also mean Obiageli, which means the full thing is Obiageliaku, that this child has come in good times to enjoy everything. She didn't come when everybody was suffering. So they give those names. Now, there are certain, instances where they can give very, very unique names. You can't even, it's very difficult to find another person who bears that kind of name. Let me give you an example. My own brother, younger brother, who is also a priest. He's called Masidile. There are very few people I can say that have that name, Masidile. What happened? My dad used to be, he's dead now, used to be a very staunch Catholic. So when my mom was pregnant with this young man, and my dad went to the hospital, the doctors told him, look, there's nothing we can do. This is going to be a breech birth. So we will try to save the mom. So somebody has to die, either the kid or the mom, but we will do our best to save the mom. And so the guy said, okay, I'm not a doctor. Because he loved going to church every morning. So he went back to church and told the priest that, hey, this is what is happening. So can we devote remember me in prayer for this mass service that is taking place this morning. So the priest said, okay, I will pray for you in a very special way. Of course, you pray for yourself because the best prayer, they say, is the one you pray for yourself. So when mass was over, now he went back to the hospital to see what was going on. And the doctor said, hey, Mr. Onyebadi, everything is fine. What do you mean? There was no breach. Then normal, natural birth. So on the spot, the guy, my dad, named the child Masidile. Mass is very efficacious. It works. So you are not likely to see so many people being called Masidile. And people have a way of naming their kids, after such events. And you don't see too many people, bearing the same name. Now, have I told you everything about how the Igbos give names? No, I have not. There are so many ways, they give names, after their friends. They give names after great events, that happened. Maybe during time of war, during time of famine, they give names. So all I have just given you is just an insight into how they give names. Remember, the Igbos, I think there are over 40 million, and they are scattered all over. So it's not just a particular Igbo nation, or maybe a particular Igbo nation I'm talking about. It's just something general to give you maybe a bird's eye view of how they give names. All right, here is what we're going to do right now. If you want to be part of this program, please get in touch with me, crossculturalexperiences at gmail.com, crossculturalexperiences at gmail.com. Now, even if you have traveled, the original concept, if you have traveled somewhere, you have experienced something, and then you want to share, especially what you learned from that experience, get in touch. If you want to talk about the aspect of your culture that I've just introduced, how do you give names? Also get in touch with me. And we will be bringing people from all over the world. So it's not just Igbos or the Luos in Kenya. I'm also trying to reach out to see, how do Koreans give names? How do people in China give names to their kids? How about people in the United States, in the United Kingdom? If somebody is called Mr. Green, does that have any implication? So that's all we're going to be doing. But I'd like to thank you for listening to me. And like I said, get in touch if you want to be part of this program. Thank you one more time and enjoy the rest of your day. My day was exciting, and I hope yours has been exciting. If not today, why not tomorrow? Bye for now.